Read the room. Sometimes you're doing the best material ever written, but the people in the room have just arrived and they're still saying hi. Now, you can keep talking or you can stop and acknowledge what's going on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sohile Ali, and welcome to the very first episode of the Sohile Ali Show, a podcast hosted by me where I interview interesting guests from all walks of life, each with their own stories to tell. I am extremely proud and honored to have my first guest of the show, Iranian-American actor and comedian Maz Jobrani. I've been a fan of Maz for over 14 years, and it was extremely honored to have him as my very first guest. His new comedy special, Pandemic Warrior, is streaming now for free on Peacock TV. Sign up for an account. It's absolutely free. And check out Pandemic Warrior, link in the description box below. Thank you, Maz Jobrani, so much for joining me today on my podcast. This is a great honor, great pleasure of mine. As someone who's been a fan of yours for easily going on 14 years this year, ever since my family and we watched the Axis of Evil comedy special in 2007 on Netflix. My Afghan parents and my parents were born in Kabul, Afghanistan. We watched it, and it was so uniquely representative of how I was feeling at the time. You know, obviously being so young, but it was something that comedically spoke to me, resonated with me, and I can honestly say I've been a fan ever since. And so this means a lot to get to speak with you today.
My pleasure, Sohail. Thank you for having me, and say hello to your parents for me. And I love that fire in the background. That's pretty
You like that?
swanky. Yeah.
Etiquette, yeah, set the mood for it right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I actually hopped on a Clubhouse chat that you were on last night for a little bit. You've been enjoying Clubhouse?
I'm loving Clubhouse. It's a real. At first when I heard about it, I thought, "What the hell is this?" It didn't make sense to me, and then I got on there. I said, "This is really cool." You get on, you talk to a bunch of people, and then people listen in. It's like a phone conversation that people are listening in on, and there's a lot going on. A lot of interesting people on there. I've already met some really cool people. So, thumbs up for Clubhouse.
Absolutely. I'm sure, in the time where comedy shows are kind of being a little postponed for now, it's maybe a nice substitute to get a little bit of interaction in addition to like Instagram Live and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely, it's nice. It's nice to be talking to people.
Yeah. And I just wanted to share as well for people probably wondering, how this came to be. I was watching last summer, it was actually May 15th, 2020. You, Ahmed, Aaron Cater, and Dina Badala, you did the Axis of Evil reunion live stream, which I obviously had the reminder on. I was ready to go for that. I was so excited. And you all were, Ahmed asked, everyone who's watching in the live stream, type out where you're from. And I had typed out, obviously, my name displaying large, Sohile Ali. I said, Bloomington, Indiana. And that's when you jumped in. You said, whoa, wait a minute. Indiana, Sohile from Indiana. What happened? So you said,
Yeah, yeah.
let us know if you want us to come rescue you.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me when I see Middle Eastern people in places that aren't the coast or kind of in the middle of America. But there's a lot of them. Actually, my new comedy special, which is called Pandemic Warrior on Peacock, there's a guy in the audience. His name is Abdullah. And I go, "Where are you from?" Because he said, "I'm from America." I go, "Where are you from?" He goes, "North Carolina." I go, "There's an Abdullah in North Carolina?" And it just, and it became a whole running joke for the show. So it's always interested in me.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to bring up that moment exactly because I did watch Peacock. My family and I watched the Pandemic Warrior special on Peacock, and it was by hands down one of the funniest specials I've ever seen. I was in pain laughing.
Oh, you're
My
beautiful. Thank
my
you.
family, we loved it so much, and I loved how you added in the relevance of obviously coronavirus to this special that you had filmed in December of 2019 in Dubai, right?
Yeah, yeah. I filmed it in 2019 in Dubai, thinking that I'd come home early 2020, sell it, get it on air, life goes on. Well, of course, the pandemic hit. And then what happened was I saw a few comedy specials that had been filmed before the pandemic that came out during the pandemic. And it looked like they'd been filmed on Mars because the audience was close together. No one was wearing masks. The comedian was telling jokes about um, what you call it, about like traffic. It just didn't make sense. And so I said, if I'm going to do my special, I got to do some material at the beginning and at the end, bookending the show where it shows how we're doing stand-up now. So it's me inside a closet at my house just doing jokes right to a computer, and that was the whole point, was to set people up so they know that I know, because if I just put it out without those things, people would look at it and be like, oh, this special's dated, even though a lot of the material is not what we would call time sensitive material. Some of it is. There's some Trump jokes in there. There's some jokes about taking your kids to school. Those things aren't happening right now. But by starting the special with the the closet jokes and going, hey, I know what's going on. This is what's going on. Now let's go watch what I filmed in 2019. It becomes a sort of a time capsule, and I hope it puts people in the right frame of mind when they're watching it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just think it's such a beautiful special because, and you touched on this in the special, being in Dubai, obviously one of the most diverse places on earth, the audience you had there, what was so important about filming it and sharing it from Dubai for you?
Well, when you do a special, it's called a special, so it should be special. And so I've done specials in Stockholm, Sweden. I've done specials at the Kennedy Center. My immigrant special that was on Netflix, that was at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which to me is one of my big dreams to ever perform there. I've done specials in Los Angeles. I've done specials in a lot of places. I said, well, where's the next place I want to do it? I said, I want to do somewhere in the Middle East. And I was going on a tour in the Middle East in end of 2019, and as we looked at the calendar and what would work, we saw that the trip to Dubai would be the place to do it. And just like you said, I knew Dubai is diverse, but I was pleasantly surprised to see the amount of diversity in the audience, from someone who's from Indonesia to Turkish people to Cubans. I mean, and you're in Dubai, and so yeah, you have Emiratis, and sure, I'm Iranian, so you have Persians, but you have all kinds. And it was, for me, every time I talked to somebody, they'd be from a different place. And at one point I said, this is crazy. Everyone I've talked to is from a different place. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm born and raised in Bloomington, Indiana, but my parents from, I guess, I'd call Afghanistan. And my grandfather, actually my mom's father, got his PhD from University of Tehran in 1981. And so
Wow.
I believe, that's just a connection there that, I wanted to make, and, just let you know how your comedy, you, an Iranian American, not only representing the Iranians, but also Afghans too. We're so proud to have someone in you that speaks about for our issues and is a figure as you are yourself. So if that's not of being reminded often, I just wanted to remind you that.
Well, listen, I always say, yes, I was born in Iran, but I consider myself a citizen of the world. I feel that the people from that part of the world, Afghans are our brothers and our sisters. And, whenever I get people reaching out to me and they say, oh, there's something going on where there's, I don't know, some sort of atrocity towards a group of people, I'm always trying to take the sides of those being victimized and just remind people that the world is big and there's good people everywhere. So when I see Afghans at my shows, I light up. I love it. I haven't been to Afghanistan. I really would like to go one day. So hopefully that day comes. And I just want to say hello to my Afghan brothers and sisters listening to this, and I'm sure your parents are listening. So that's a few at least. So there we go.
Absolutely. Well, I haven't myself been either, so maybe we could go together.
Let's make it a trip. Sohail from Indiana.
That's right. That's right. But back to Pandemic Warrior, I wanted to ask about, just remind people, check it out. It's on Peacock right now. It's free. You just have to sign up for an account. I signed up for an account. You got the Peacock app on Apple TV. All your devices, just check it out. It's free. Watch it. Maz Jobrani's Pandemic Warrior special. It's awesome. And yeah, I saw Abdullah from North Carolina. I said, he took my thing. I'm Sohal from Indiana. But also, from how you got that moment, just by you doing crowd work. And I noticed that you also, you do a lot of crowd work, even in the immigrant special that's on Netflix, as you mentioned. And I wanted to know, you're going on, I believe, 23 years this year doing comedy. I wanted to know if crowd work was something you kind of started off doing when you started out, or something you kind of developed along the way.
I think I picked it up, and part of that was I became a regular at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. That's the club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. And when I the Mitzi Shore, who's Pauly Shore's mother, she owned the club. She's since passed away, but the way it would work is she would watch you do 3 minutes in front of her, and if she liked you, someone from the club would come over and say, okay, now Mitzi wants you to do, sorry, I'm going to put this on Do Not Disturb here. Now Mitzi wants you to do 6 minutes. And then if she liked you then, again, someone would come over and go, Mitzi wants you to do 10 minutes. Once you've done 10 minutes, she decides either to make you a regular or tell you come back in a year or something. So she made me a regular. And when you first become a regular, it's like anything, any job in the world. They're not going to give you the best time slots. So they would give me like, midnight on a Tuesday. And midnight on a Tuesday, you go to the club, you're getting ready to go on stage, and somebody who's famous shows up, a comedian who's famous shows up. They go to the front, they go, hey, I want to go up next. They go up next. Now you got to sit there. So there were times I was up at like 1, 1:30, 1:45 when the club was going to close at 2. I'm up at 1:45. And there was times where I would get up at 1:45 and I start doing my material. Hi, my name is Maz. That's a Persian name, but I'm doing my material. And there's like 4 people in the audience who are just exhausted and drunk. And they're kind of staring at me like, what the hell? And as a matter of fact, I remember one night, this really helped. There was 2 dudes in the corner that were like kind of nerdy, and they had this really like good looking girl with them. And they were the only ones in the audience. So I started doing my jokes. They were kind of looking at me, and then I just had to stop. I go, I'm sorry. How did you 2 end up with her? What's going on here? So it became a conversation. It became crowd work. And then they were laughing. I was laughing. We were having a good time. And then there was a comedian who was sitting in the way back. His name was Freddie Soto, who, again, has passed away, unfortunately. But he was one of the funniest guys I knew. And he was sitting in the back. He was older than me a little bit. And he says, hey, you're funny. I go, thanks. He goes, you either got it or you don't. If it's about bits, then you're not funny. If you're just funny. And so that was all like light bulb moments of talk to the crowd. Don't be afraid to leave your material. Read the room. Sometimes you're doing the best material ever written, but the people in the room have just arrived and they're still saying hi. Now, you can keep talking or you can stop and acknowledge what's going on. One time I was doing a show actually in Malaysia, Indonesia. It was a big event with all kinds of dignitaries, and they weren't really paying attention. And I was just like, doing my show. It was like some like award ceremony or fundraiser. They're all talking. I'm trying to do my thing. And then in the middle of my show, a voice comes over the speakers. Maz, can you please stop? The prime minister has just arrived. And everybody stops and they stand up. In the middle of my show, they're all standing up. And I've never had somebody tell me to stop. And I just kind of stopped. And then in the back of the room, we see this like procession of security and the prime minister. And they're walking towards the front of the room. And he's going to come sit at the table where the king is sitting as well. But the prime minister's showing up late because whatever, he's the prime minister. But I had done jokes earlier in the set about how horrible their traffic is in Malaysia. And so as he's coming to the front, people are shaking his hand. He kind of looks up at me. I go, welcome, Mr. Prime Minister. I go, I assume you were stuck in traffic or something like that. And it got a laugh because I'm now doing crowd work about what just happened. He looked at me like, who the hell is this guy? But at least I was available to be in the moment. So that's a big thing. You got to do that. It helps you and it helps the audience go, oh, wow, he's here with us. He's not just reciting lines.
I was going to ask, because you reminded me, you're performing for obviously the prime minister there in Indonesia. I heard that you all on the Axis of Evil tour had performed for, was it the King of Jordan?
Yeah, we when we did Axis Evil Comedy Tour in 2000, and it was end of 2007, it came out on Comedy Central in early 2007, and it started doing well in America, and then we went to do a tour in the Middle East. We did 5 countries, 27 shows, 30 days, and it was amazing because going from the U.S. to the Middle East, it felt like we turned into the Beatles. We landed there. And we landed in Dubai first. They said, yeah, we got press conferences lined up. And I'm going, press conference? Who wants to come to a press conference for us? And there was people there and they were asking questions and it was amazing. And so when we went to Jordan, they said the King of Jordan is going to be coming to the show. But they didn't tell us because of security reasons. They said, someone important is coming to the show tomorrow. No filming is allowed. So we were freaking out. We're like, oh my God, it's him. And so it was interesting because the night before, our hotel was right next to the theater and the cars would show up and valet park. And I could see from my window people pulling up and going into the theater as I was getting ready upstairs. Well, the next night they had blocked that road off. They had the entrance for normal people somewhere else. And that road was going to be a an entrance for the king. And I remember I was sitting in my room and I said, you know what? I'm going to go down a little bit later because I'm always the last one performing. So usually I would show up and just sit in the green room for an hour until I went up. I said, you know what? I don't want to get too tired. I want to wait. I want to save my energy. It's the king. And as I'm sitting in my room, I just hear like whoop, 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 and I look out and it's a motorcade showing up. I was like, oh my God, I've never had a motorcade come to my show. And these SUVs are screeching to stop and the security's jumping out. I was like, oh my God, that's the king. And it was so amazing. So I was like, I got to get ready and go down. So I get all excited. I put my clothes on. I go downstairs. And when I go down, I got to pass by where the king had just gone in through. And now there's just soldiers out there with guns. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they don't know that I'm the comedian because there's just some soldier who speaks Arabic. I speak English. And I was like, I hope they don't think I'm trying to like follow the king or something. So I'm walking around with my hands up. I'm going, salam alaikum, comedian. And like, there's a poster of me. I'm like, that's me. And the guy's like, okay, go. So then I go and I get to the green room and Aaron Cater's there. I'm there. And Ahmed was the host always. He would host. And because he was just, personable and all that. And the first night we were there in Jordan, before we even started, they had a local guy who played the violin to like modern music. So they had him do a half an hour. Then they took a break, and then our comedy show started. So we thought it was going to be the same this second night. We thought the violin guy would play, break, us. Well, we're in the green room waiting for Ahmed. Promoter comes running to the green room. He's sweating. He's like, "Where's Ahmed?" And we go, "Oh, he's coming. He's got time. We got to have the violinist." He goes, "No, tonight there's no violinist." I go, "Why not?" He said, "Because tonight the king is here." I go, "What does that mean? The king doesn't like violin?" He goes, "No. When the king sits, the show starts." Ooh. I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a rule." He's like, "It is." So we're like, "Okay, let's text Ahmed." And back then it was like the old flip phones. And we flip our phones open to text. Well, they've blocked all of the phone signals because they don't want anybody setting off a bomb with their phone.
Oh my God.
I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm like, well, okay, since Ahmed doesn't know, Aaron, maybe you can host or I'll host and we'll switch. And we're talking. And then Ahmed casually comes strolling in. He's like, "Hey, guys, what's going on?" I'm like, "What's going on?" Like, the show's about to start. He goes, "What about the violinist?" I go, "When the king sits, the show starts." And so that was our experience. And he seemed to love it and enjoy it. And he invited us to the palace the next day. So it was really cool. We got to meet the king of Jordan. And to this day, I get a Christmas card from them every year.
A Christmas card.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Where was he sitting? Like front row or
center, like 10 rows back, like the best seat you could have. And then so it was he was there, Queen Rania was there, his brother was there. It was actually interesting because we asked him the next day, whenever we would do George Bush jokes, he would kind of smile but not laugh too hard. But his brother was falling out of his chair laughing. So the next day we asked him, we go, "Why did you not like the George Bush jokes? What was the problem?" He goes, "No, it's just that if I laugh hard at a George Bush joke, people are going to be looking at me and it becomes a world, thing." And so he was very, very nice and accommodating and a sweet, sweet man.
That's beautiful. Yeah, he laughs too hard at that. It sends a wrong message.
Exactly. He's got to be careful. It's not good diplomacy.
Well, that's a good transition, actually, because speaking of presidents and, in 2016, you were selected as a speaker at the Nowruz celebration at the White House after they were celebrating for the second year in a row, and you gave a speech and you introduced First Lady Michelle Obama. I mean, one of the proudest moments of your career, I'm imagining. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. So as you said, under the Obamas, they had a lot of Iranian Americans who were working in the administration, and they were able to, besides Iranian Americans, the Obama administration was opening their doors to different communities and saying, "Come celebrate your New Year, whatever it is, with us." So it was Nowruz, as you would say, and they said, "Hey, would you mind, giving a little comedy thing / speech before Michelle Obama and then introducing Michelle Obama?" I go, "Would I mind?" That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. So it really was a career and life highlight. And I mentioned in it, I said, "Look," I go, "this is the American dream. I came to America in late 78, an immigrant from Iran, and here I am at the White House talking at that podium that everyone talks at." And I go, this is the most beautiful thing in the world. So really, and I was proud because, my mom was there, my wife was there, my sister was there, My relatives were all there, and it was quite the experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I did you get to teach President Obama and the First Lady any Farsi while you were there? Because I know when you taught Stephen Colbert, you said Ismamam Steven asked him. You were teaching him Farsi. Did you get a chance
Yeah.
to slip in with them?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to teach her any Persian, but or Farsi. But I think they also, like I said, I'm sure the people around them taught them a couple words here or there. They were
Mm,
just so
right.
welcoming. Like she even said in her speech, she said, "Look, this is the White House, but it's not our house; it's your house." And she was
Mm.
very funny about it. She goes, "So walk around, enjoy, see the stuff." She goes, "Just don't break anything." And I thought she was so charming, man. I miss them, and they were and are inspirational people.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, what a memory. I just want to make sure I want to be conscious of the time. If you still have time here a little bit, it's
Yeah, let's do another 10 minutes.
sure. Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
yeah.
I wanted to ask, you obviously have a well established and amazing career of both acting and being a comedian. I wanted to know if early on was the dream to always do both, like equally, or did one or the other between acting and comedy kind of draw you in?
I fell in love with both. When I was a kid, around maybe 10 years old or so, I discovered Eddie Murphy and I loved what he did. And in my mind, Eddie Murphy was on Saturday Night Live at the age of 19. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get on Saturday Night Live even younger than that. Well, that dream never came to fruition. But my parents, being immigrant parents, they didn't really support that dream. They wanted me to be a lawyer or doctor or something like that. So it took me I continued to act. I continued to do plays while I was studying political science undergrad. I continued to act and do plays while I got into a PhD program for political science. And it wasn't until I was in my mid 20s and I realized you live once, so you can't live to please your parents or anybody. You got to do what you love, and that's comedy and acting. So I enrolled in a sketch comedy class, and while I was there, I found a lady who taught stand-up comedy. So I took that class as well. So I was doing sketches and stand-up, and then auditioning for TV roles, and it all just
Mhm.
started coming together. But I feel like when you decide to do what you're meant to do in this world, good things happen. And there's a book called The Alchemist that actually talks about that when you set off on your course, the world conspires to help you. And so that's what I've been kind of blessed with my whole life
Absolutely.
since I decided to do this. Because somebody asked me, they go, when did you consider yourself successful? I said, the moment I decided to do this, I was successful. Everything else has just been icing on the cake.
Absolutely. Yeah, being happy in your decision, your life decision.
Yeah.
And I was gonna like, did you see them complementing each other as well? Like as you were getting more confident in acting on stage and screen, maybe how that translated to being a stand-up and vice versa.
Absolutely. What happened is early on in my career, because when you first start in stand up, you're just taking any gig you can. The key to stand up, anybody who wants to do stand up, get on stage as much as you can, write as much as you can. And so when I was, starting out, I would perform in bars, coffee shops, church basements, strip clubs, you name it, I would take the gig. And they don't pay. They pay like $5 here, $10 there, $15 there. So you're not really making a living doing stand up when you first start. So I had my day job, but I would get a TV role. And when you get a TV role, it actually pays pretty well, but it only pays well for a week and then you're back to your day job. So eventually I got a couple of commercials, and those commercials ended up paying well enough where I could quit my day job. And then I got like on a TV show and then a movie and then things started rolling. And so it was at a
Hmm.
point where my acting career was paying for my comedy career. And then right around 2006, 2007, when Axis of Evil started happening,
Hmm.
that's when my stand-up career started paying for my acting career so that I
Hmm.
could say yes or no to an acting gig if I chose to.
Hmm.
So yeah, they've complemented each other pretty well.
Gotcha, gotcha. Very, very awesome. And I know one of your early roles, obviously, it's iconic now when you were playing Molly from Friday After Next. I don't know, did you ever see the song by Blueface the rapper?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
That
Mike Epps reached out to me and then he never called, but I think he might have wanted to do one. I ended up doing it at the beginning of the pandemic. I did the dance with my daughter and I posted it on my Instagram because all of a sudden it was this, viral thing going around, and it was
Amazing.
holy moly donna shot. I mean,
Yeah.
wow, yeah.
In the beginning. Okay, I'm glad. I was just want to know your thoughts on that because when I found that, I was like, "That's pretty cool." Because I'm sure growing up in Northern California, hip hop, what an influence on you growing up. I would imagine. Like, did you listen to a lot of hip hop growing up?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends who were big hip hop guys, and they would
Hmm.
get like subwoofers in their cars, and you would listen to like Too Short from Oakland, California. Yeah, Too Short. My life is too short.
Blow the
Um,
whistle.
Tupac, blow the whistle. Yeah, exactly. Blow the whistle. Tupac was from NorCal. There was, MC Hammer was from NorCal. I mean, there was a lot of NorCal influence, Digital Underground. But this was like mid '80s, so yeah, I would listen to like Run DMC and Eric B and Rakim and all those guys. Like they were. I mean, we came up with that stuff.
Hmm.
Have you watched the Netflix series, the hip hop? I think it's called Hip Hop Revolution or Hip Hop Evolution.
Evolution. Yeah, I have not yet.
It's
Would you?
great. You should
Okay.
watch it. If you like hip hop, I've watched all of them, and it was
Okay.
great. They do a segment. They do an episode on Houston, and they go talk to my buddy now, Willie D of the Ghetto Boys. It's cool.
Definitely, I'll definitely check that out. But now, I mean, I feel like now, you and Mike Ups with the intro on that song, you can also add rapper to your bio. I think it's safe to say off the sample there.
Thanks for the props, man. I
But
appreciate it.
I was gonna ask, about one of your movie, Jimmy Westwood, American Hero, if you wouldn't mind, because that I watched that the other night too, my family and I, and absolutely loved it. And it's available. Everyone should go check that out too. It's on all the platforms to rent it: YouTube, Amazon Prime Video. You can check it out. Jimmy Westwood, American Hero, and this obviously being your movie, you produced it, co-wrote it, and starred in it. I just want to know what your greatest takeaway was from doing that. A lot of people dream of starring and doing their own movies.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I knew it was a lot of work, but I gained even more appreciation for how much work it was, because you write the script and you think, okay, we're done. And then they go, no, now you got to get the funding. Then you go get the funding, you go, we're done. No, now you got to get the whatever director. Okay, we get the director, now we're done. No, now you got to get the editor. Editing done. No, now you got to distribute it. Distributing done. It just keeps going. And it was, but at the same time, we shot. It was an independent film. I describe it as the Persian Pink Panther,
Right.
where I played a character who wins the lottery in Iran, green card lottery in Iran to come to America. Comes to America. He wants to be an American hero, but then he ends up in some kind of plot to start a war, and he diffuses the whole thing. And it's just slapstick comedy. It was my homage to the Pink Panther, the Peter Sellers Pink Panthers that I grew up on. And so just silly fun. If anybody goes in there taking it seriously, then they're going to have a horrible time. But if you go in there thinking silly thoughts, then you'll enjoy it. And since it's an independent film, a lot of big movies have, I don't know, 2-3 months of shooting. We had 18 days of shooting, 6 days a week,
Whoa.
3 6-day weeks. And it was very tiring,
Oh,
but it was invigorating because you would go to sleep at night thinking about the next day, excited to see your buddies. I got to put a lot of my friends in there. And then the next day you'd wake up and go to work. And if I really want to do it again. I just haven't dived into writing the script, and the actual shooting of it is a blast. That's a lot of fun
mm,
because you have friends on the set, and
mm-hmm,
you're talking and you're watching your friends do something. You're like, "Oh, that was great. Do it, like do it again, do it again." It's
mm-hmm.
exciting. And I miss that, and I will delve into it again soon. So if you have a passion for making movies, just do it. Don't wait.
Absolutely. And you mentioned obviously your brand of comedy and humor in it. I watched it because I saw the trailer with the airplane scene. Obviously, your character and his mother coming to America. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this with my Afghan mother. This is great." And then there's moments in the movie so like raunchy comedy. I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
my god."
you got to be raunchy a little bit, right? You can't
Oh
just
yeah,
be
no.
all, yeah, 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 yeah.
But definitely, I highly recommend it. It's awesome. I would imagine, even in shooting, obviously you had the script, but with so many comedians in the movie and your friends of yours, would you just kind of get improvisational when you were doing it?
That was part of it, was having these funny comedians on and go, guys, get the words as we've written, and then I want you to just have fun. And sometimes, like, there's a girl named Nusha Jafarian who played the girl who's getting married to the boy, played by Sam Golzari. And she was just, we cast her. We said, we said, try and channel kind of Kim Kardashian a little bit. And then she killed it. She didn't have a lot of lines, but every time you saw her, she had a funny laugh. She'd be like, like that. And then at the very end, she recites Shakespeare as that character.
Oh, yeah.
And she was amazing. So there was a lot of moments and people like that. The guy, Marshall Manish, who played the butcher, there was a scene where he's kissing his son, like The Godfather.
Yes.
And we came up with that. We're like, just do it like The Godfather.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
Yeah. So we
With
had a
the
lot
music.
of fun.
Broke his heart. Mehdi the butcher, right?
Mehdi the butcher, exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing. And also, I just wanted to make a quick plug for anyone who is looking for a great podcast to listen to. Back to School with Maz Jobrani, the podcast available everywhere. It's really amazing. I think you're going on 100 episodes, and it's really great. I've loved it. I've listened to the episode Reza Aslan, and just an amazing thing that I think everyone should also tune into and listen to if you're a fan of Maz. So I'll definitely link that in the description below. But how have you found hosting your own podcast?
It's been good. It's me and my buddy Tehran, who people know from stand-up as well. He's very funny. And so the show came about when my kids would ask me questions I didn't have answers for. And so I said, rather than Googling it, let me bring in experts and we'll learn from them. And it's just become an excuse for me to have great conversations with people that are interesting. So we had Michael Cohen on, who was Trump's fixer before he got in trouble with the law. We had this guy named Firuz Naderi, who helped land the rover on Mars. We had a lady named Jill Heinerth, who is a cave diver. She goes underneath glaciers to find living organisms. We just had a guy, Jared Mirsky, who is a weed expert. We've currently got Jordan Shapiro, who's written a book about screen time is okay for kids. So there's a lot of interesting people coming in and out. We had Frank Figluzzi, who's a former counterterrorism assistant director of the FBI, and he was telling us all about these white nationalists and the dangers that they posed before they had stormed the Capitol. So I've had a lot of interesting people. So if people want to just listen to some interesting conversation, learn a lot of different things, I think it's a great, fun podcast to listen to.
Absolutely. And finally, I just wanted to add, today, what inspires you today?
Today, I'm just inspired. There's a lot going on in this world. This whole Clubhouse has opened my eyes to like the amount of things people are doing, and I'm inspired by them. And so it's like we all got to pivot, right? Because live touring ended. So now what? So I've done some live shows, and I'm sure it's going to start picking up again as the pandemic goes away, hopefully soon. But in the meantime, what am I going to do next? And so I've been inspired by these people, and I continue to go on Clubhouse and try and find more inspiration and try and be there.
Well, as someone of a different generation, I'm 22 years old, and as someone who has been a fan of yours for so long, just know that you are people like you are just inspiring to me, myself, and our class. And as someone who's started doing stand-up open mics back in August, definitely consider myself a student of the game, and just getting the chance to talk with you has been a major life moment. So I want to thank you again so much for your time, Maz.
My pleasure, Sohail. I appreciate it. Sohail from Indiana. Stay safe, buddy.
Absolutely, Maz. Thank you so much. You as well.
Take care.
Till next time.
Khudafiz.
Real quick, before you click away, thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Click right here to subscribe to my channel for all future videos, and click right here to check out this video over here. Have a great one.